Hello guys, we're gonna learn about pharmacology, and I'm saying that this pharmacology is exclusively for some students, and this video will be useful until you reach the fourth sem, and this video will be continue until the third sem. Microbiology is over, and just a introduction video, and comments below whether you are understanding the pharmacology. So let's start the video. Pharmacology. The word pharmacology is something related to drug. So while we can cut out these two words, pharma and ecology. Pharma is always related to drug and logy is related to study. So we can say that pharmacology is what? A study of drug. So before learning anything, we should learn about pharmacokinetics. So I just divided this two words as pharmaco and kinetics. So what is pharmaco? Pharmaco means which is something related to drug. Something related to drug. Related to drug. That is all about the pharmaco. And what is kinetics? Kinetics we already know about, that is movement. Anything which can move is called as kinetics. So simply we can say that pharmacokinetics is what? Movement of drug in the body. Movement of drug in the body is termed as of drug in the body. So that's all about the pharmacokinetics. We can divide that as a two word. Pharmaco means something related to drug and kinetics means movement. And we got a definition that movement of drug in the body. We understood about pharmacokinetics, and this pharmacokinetics is divided into four. And before we learning about any drug, we should learn about this four terms or four things. First and foremost, it is all about absorption. What is that? It is absorption. And the second one is what? It is all about distribution. And before learning any pharmacokinetics, we will learn about this four terms in a detailed way. After that, we will be learning about the subclasses of drugs. And next is all about metabolism. And the third one, it is all about metabolism. And fourth one, it is none other than, yes, as you guys is right, it is elimination. And today we're going to study about absorption in a detailed way and from the basics. So before talking about absorption in detail, we should back or recollect something we learned in our anatomy and physiology about cell membrane. As we all know that this is all about cell membrane. Cell membrane consists of a phospholipid bilayer. Anything related to bi or di means it consists of a two layer. And this is all about when we look or we took this two portion. This portion is hydrophilic. Hydrophilic means that is water loving head, and this tail is consist as hydrophobic means they are fear of water, and this portion is cytoplasm. Nothing but our cell membrane consists of a phospholipid bilayer. So only you should understand that our cell membrane consists of a phospholipid bilayer. So next we will be learn about drugs. Why I talk about this phospholipid means drugs which dissolve in lipids, the drugs which dissolve in lipids or lipids, whatever may be, dissolve in lipids, we can call that drug as lipid soluble agent. What is that? Lipid soluble agent. And which can cross, if can imagine this as a drug and which is a lipid soluble agent, can easily pass through this cell membrane or can easily cross the cell membrane easily, which means drugs which dissolve in lipid we can call as lipid soluble agent, which can cross cell membrane easily. Cell membrane easily. That's what the concept here. If as a polar molecule, if that is a polar molecule means what? Yeah, from here you can understand that, which is also known as charged molecules. Charged molecules. So imagine this as a drug which is a polar molecule which can cross this phospholipid bilayer because it is not lipid soluble. So we can say that the polar molecules or charged molecules can't cross phospholipid bilayer. So here is the concept is nothing but absorption. In absorption, we learned that drugs which dissolve in lipid, we can call it as lipid soluble agent, can cross the cell membrane easily. But if the drug has a charge or it is a polar molecule which can't cross the phospholipid bilayer, which is not dissolved easily in this phospholipid bilayer. Next, we will be talking about the pH, as we all aware about the pH. So this portion is considered as acidic. Why we are talking about this, we can understand now itself. Next is all about 7 is neutral, and which is alkaline or basic. Okay, which is alkaline or basic. So let's move on to the topic, or the concept is that if it is an acidic drug, imagine that if we consume an acidic drug and if it moves to a basic environment, imagine that you consume an acidic drug and which moves to a basic environment, and what happens to this this acidic drug, which will ionizes. So nothing but acidic drug ionizes in basic environment. Okay, acidic drug ionizes in basic environment because this, when this acidic drug is on the basic environment, they will be develop charge. They develop charge so that they will got ionizes. That is the concept. Imagine that you consume an acidic drug and which went into this basic environment, or which go to the basic environment, which this acidic drug develop charge and which got ionizes. That is the concept of this. So the next concept is all about, we already learned that if an acidic drug went to a basic environment, it loses its ability. So that in order to avoid that, acidic drugs went to or go to its acidic environment itself. So most of the acidic drugs absorb from acidic environment. If it goes to a basic environment, it can't be get absorbed because it will loses its ability by ionizing, or it will get charged on basic environment. So most of the acidic drugs absorb from acidic environment. Where it is happen? It is usually happen in the stomach. Basic drugs. So the opposite things is also happening in basic drug itself. Imagine that you consume a basic drug and which go to a acidic environment. What happens? Yes, obviously it will get ionized, right? So to avoid this, same as what the acidic drug is doing, it goes to its basic environment and which will get absorbed. So most of the basic drugs got absorbed in the intestine, and most of the acidic drugs absorbed in acidic environment, which is taking place in the stomach. Do you ever wonder that how do you imagine how drugs move freely? Okay, so nothing but there is a two phenomena which is we already learned, that is first one, it is passive diffusion. We already learned in physiology, that is there is a two method where drugs move freely. First method is passive diffusion and second one it is active transport. So while talking about passive diffusion, what is passive diffusion? Nothing but drugs freely crosses phospholipid bilayer. Drugs freely crosses phospholipid bilayer and which doesn't requires any energy. That is nothing but passive diffusion is what? Drugs freely crosses phospholipid bilayer and without any expenditure of energy. They doesn't require, it moves freely, and doesn't require any energy. But what about this active transport? Just opposite to passive diffusion, and which crosses, the drugs crosses with the help of what? With the help of proteins. Okay, with the help of proteins, with the help of ATP, or we can call it as energy. Okay, so this is the two way where the drugs moves. So first way, it is all about passive diffusion, where drugs freely crosses phospholipid bilayer without any requirement of energy. And the second mode of transport is all about active transport, where the drugs crosses with the help of proteins, with the help or with the expenditure of ATP, or we can call it as with the help of energy. Now we are actually moving to absorption. So what is the definition of absorption? That is nothing but, absorption means what? It is a movement of drug from the site of administration, from the site of what? Administration to the systemic circulation. This is what about the absorption mean. So there is nothing but, absorption meaning is that movement of drug from the site of administration to the systemic circulation. So imagine that you consume a tablet. So in order to reach the systemic circulation, the drug has to undergo some changes. So absorption is nothing but the movement of drug where the site of administration, from the site of administration, and which reaches to the systemic circulation, as we all know about the systemic circulation. And I am repeating that if you consume a tablet, so in order to reach to the systemic circulation, that particular drug should undergo some changes. So let's move what are the changes happening to that particular drug while it reaches to a systemic circulation. So let's understand the changes that happening during the systemic circulation. So first and foremost thing, it is all about dissolution of tablet. The particles inside the tablet dissolves in the water and form very fine particles. That is all about the dissolution of tablets. I repeat that. The particles inside the tablet dissolves in the water and form very fine particles. So, and if you consume an acidic drug or a basic drug, for acidic drug it will be absorbed in the stomach, and for the basic drug it will be absorbed in the small intestine. So during this pathway, some amount of drug will be get metabolized, or it will be get breakdown by the help of the enzyme present in the intestinal epithelium. So first it is all about dissolution, and by the pathway some amount of drug will be metabolized by the intestinal epithelium, then it will reaches to portal circulation. By this portal circulation which reaches to liver, as we all know that liver is the major metabolizing organ, and some more drug is got metabolized, and systemic circulation which reaches to systemic circulation. And what you understand from this? Okay, nothing but only some extent of drug reaches in the systemic circulation. That's what we understood, that only a portion of drugs reaches in the systemic circulation. Why? Because during the dissolution which reaches in the intestinal epithelium, the drugs all got metabolized. After that, liver also got metabolized. Only some extent or some portion of drug which reaches in the systemic circulation. That's what the change is happening. So we imagine that, okay, we also thinking that we consume a tablet, and that whole tablet will be we are thinking that the whole tablet will be reaches to systemic circulation, but it was wrong. During the consumption, first and foremost thing, our tablet will be get dissolute or dissolved in the water into very fine particles, and during the pathway the intestinal enzyme metabolizes this drug. After that, when it reaches to liver, some more drug also got metabolized. Only a portion of drugs will be reached into this systemic circulation. That's what the change is happening during this consumption of drug. So next is we want to learn about two terms, that is all about first pass effect. That is nothing but it is loss of drugs from oral cavity while it reaches to oral cavity to systemic circulation. Systemic circulation, that we already learned from about the changes that happening, because while intestinal epithelium metabolize some drugs and liver also metabolize some drug, only a portion of drug is reached into the systemic circulation, and that loss of drugs while traveling from oral cavity to systemic circulation, which is called as first pass effect, which we can also say it as first pass metabolism. Other name is all about first pass metabolism, or pre-systemic metabolism. Okay. So nothing but first pass effect means what? Which is a loss of drugs while it travel to the oval, while imagine that you consume a drug. So that is through oral cavity, and until it reaches to systemic circulation, there will be the loss of drug. Only a portion of drug which reach to that systemic circulation. Before that, it losses from intestine and liver. So that losses can be termed as first pass effect. The other name is first pass metabolism or pre-systemic metabolism, because in some question paper they can be asked this question as 2 mark. So the first pass metabolism and pre-systemic metabolism and first pass effect is same. About bioavailability, which means that the fraction of drug that reaches the systemic circulation in an unchanged form. There are certain drugs, there are different classes of drugs that will be we will be learning in our upcoming classes. Thus there are certain drugs that will not metabolize in liver or small intestine, but there are also some drugs. So that is fraction of drug that reaches the systemic circulation in unchanged form without metabolizing more. So we already understood that only a portion of drugs will be reaches into systemic circulation. But in bioavailability means what? There are some drugs which will not lose so much during this pathway. So that is called as bioavailability. So which is denoted as F, which is denoted as F. Denoted as F. So there is a concept that if there is more, F means what? Bioavailability. If it is more bioavailability means what? There is less first pass effect. Less first pass effect, which means there will not be metabolization, means there will not be more metabolization. If there is more bioavailability means there is less first pass effect. Less first pass effect, we already know about first pass effect, because during this pathway we consume a drug, so there is a chance to metabolize by intestine or liver. So but there is also some drugs which will not metabolize so much, so that is we can denote as bioavailability. So there is an equation. Okay, there is an equation for this bioavailability, that is nothing but, if they are asking question, you should write this and you can fetch more marks. That is nothing but quantity of drug reaching the systemic, that is systemic circulation. There is a formula, divided by quantity of drug administered. Quantity of drug administered. So this is all about the bioavailability formula, that is nothing but quantity of drug reaching the systemic circulation divided by the quantity of drug administered. Imagine for example, if you consume a 500 mg drug, okay, 500 mg drug, or any drug, and while passing through this intestine and liver, that will be for some extent it will got metabolized, and which will reach us to systemic circulation. But if there is more portion of this, that means what? Bioavailability is more. Okay, first pass effect is less, so there will not be any more loss of drugs. But if there is more first pass effect, means what? Means while moving or while passing, more portion of drug is metabolized, means what? There will be less bioavailability, so which is denoted as F. So while they are asking about bioavailability and first pass effect, if they are asking about bioavailability, you can write this formula, and that can fetch you more marks. So that's all about absorption today. So for the upcoming section, you will be learn about metabolism, excretion or elimination, and distribution. So guys, this is just a trial video for pharmacology. Please comment below whether you understood all those terms in a detailed way, and please comment below the suggestions, because this is for the this chapter will be continued for while you reach for the fourth semester. So thank you all. If you like my video, please share, subscribe and like. Okay, thank you.